Today on Bridge City News, Islamic State group leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead after an American military operation in Syria. Calgary Mayor Nenshi is calling the idea of him being appointed to the federal Liberals cabinet as an advisor for Alberta silly. And Northern California wildfires spread as high winds continue, resulting in large-scale evacuation efforts.
Your nation. Your province. Your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News Weekend Edition with Paul Arthur.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Calgary Mayor Nenshi is pouring cold water on the idea of him being appointed as an advisor for Alberta in federal cabinet. In an interview with CTV's Question Period aired today, Nenshi calls the idea silly, but he did say he would be prepared to aid the Trudeau government in gaining a better perspective on Alberta issues. Trudeau lost Liberal MPs in Alberta and Saskatchewan as Western voters punished him in the polls. Former Alberta Premier Alison Redford has also said she's willing to lend the federal Liberals a hand. Icy conditions on a northern Saskatchewan highway are believed to have contributed to a triple fatal crash. The RCMP say a paramedic and 2 children were killed when an ambulance collided with a truck outside the small town of Beauval. The paramedic was in the ambulance while the 2 children were in the truck. Investigators say the ambulance was responding to a call at the time and that road conditions were poor with slush and ice-covered sections. The CEO of the Regina Chamber of Commerce says he expects the NHL Heritage Classic to bring in between $15 and $20 million to the city. John Hopkins says yesterday's outdoor game at Mosaic Stadium between the Winnipeg Jets and the Calgary Flames is almost on par with an event like the Grey Cup. Hopkins said the exposure the game provides to Regina's new state-of-the-art facilities is even better. Regina is forming a growing list of big events to be held at Mosaic Stadium since it opened in 2016, including several concerts like Garth Brooks, Guns N' Roses, and the Eagles. Operators of Vancouver's only cemetery are thinking outside the pine box when it comes to making space in a greener way. Vancouver Council has given a Mountain View Cemetery Committee the green light to consider numerous changes, including allowing strangers to share grave space. Cemetery manager Glenn Hodges says the committee is also looking at allowing more bodies than just 2 per grave site, as long as the body hasn't been embalmed and no casket is used, in keeping with its green burial proposals. A group of lawyers opposed to the consecutive life sentences has been granted intervenor status in an appeal of the sentence handed down to Quebec City mosque killer Alexander Bissonnette. The Montreal Defense Lawyers Association is arguing that the criminal code contravenes the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The Crown had requested a sentence of 6 consecutive 25-year terms with no chance of parole, 150 years in total. Quebec Justice François Huot opted for life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for 40 years. U.S. President Donald Trump says Islamic State group leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead after an American military operation in Syria. Trump says al-Baghdadi dragged 3 of his children into a tunnel as he was pursued by U.S. forces and detonated a suicide vest, saying, quote, he died like a coward.
Last night, the United States brought the world's #1 terrorist leader to justice. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. He was the founder and leader of ISIS, the most ruthless and violent terror organization anywhere in the world. The United States has been searching for Baghdadi for many years. Capturing or killing Baghdadi has been the top national security priority of my administration. U.S. Special Operations Forces executed a dangerous and daring nighttime raid. Baghdadi's demise demonstrates America's relentless pursuit of terrorist leaders and our commitment to the enduring and total defeat of ISIS and other terrorist organizations.
Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden said Saturday he was undeterred by the ascendancy of rival Elizabeth Warren in the polls. Biden's standing in early voting states such as Iowa and New Hampshire has been eroded somewhat by the rise of Senator Warren and other challengers in the 2020 primary. At 76, Biden is the second oldest candidate among the Democratic candidates.
This is a marathon. I'd be Even if I knew I was going to win every other state, and the Lord came down and told me that, I'd still be in South Carolina.
Elizabeth Warren is a candidate who's been spending more time here in South Carolina. Does that affect your strategy at all?
She doesn't affect my strategy, period. And I'm not being facetious. I think she's a fine person, a good candidate. But, you know, I didn't get involved in deciding to run because of polling or a particular strategy. I got involved to run because I thought it was so critical that we defeat a man who is absolutely ripping this country apart. It's thoroughly and totally appropriate people ask about my health. And so I do my yearly physical, which I'll do at the end of the year. Before the first vote, I'll release all there is about my health. Work out every morning, and I feel good, and all I can say is, you know, watch me, see.
Would you consider a one-term pledge?
No. Now, it doesn't mean I would run a second term. I'm not going to make that judgment. We're in a battle for the soul of this nation. Sounds like an exaggeration, but I meant it when I said it, literally. We're in a battle for the soul of this nation. I mean, there's two things we know for certain. One, Vladimir Putin doesn't want me to be president, according to Facebook, taking down the Russian ads going after me. And two, that it's surely that Trump doesn't want to face me.
Philip Reeker, the acting U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Europe, was questioned behind closed doors Saturday in the House impeachment inquiry. He was asked about whether he had knowledge about efforts to persuade Ukraine to pursue politically motivated investigations. A person familiar with the testimony says Reeker told the lawmakers he was disturbed by the White House-led effort to oust Ukraine Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch. About 180,000 people have been ordered out of their homes, and another 2.35 million have been left in the dark after California's largest utility cut the power to prevent sparking additional blazes as powerful winds continue to fuel a wildfire in Northern California. The Sonoma County Sheriff's Office says it's the largest evacuation that anyone at the department can remember. A CAL FIRE spokesman says the officials ordered the evacuation as a matter of public and firefighter safety. The evacuation order was significantly expanded overnight to portions of Santa Rosa, a city that was hit hard by a wildfire in 2017. The Scottish National Party and the Liberal Democrats are pushing for an election on December 9th, 3 days earlier than what British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has proposed, and years earlier than the next scheduled vote in 2022. The two opposition parties also plan to ask European Union leaders to extend the Brexit deadline to at least January 31st to provide more time to debate Johnson's withdrawal agreement. Johnson wants to delay Britain's October 31st Brexit deadline by only a few weeks to keep pressure on lawmakers. Many Germans have made it a Halloween tradition to visit the medieval Frankenstein Castle to celebrate the spooky holiday. The crumbling castle, located 35 kilometers south of Frankfurt, has been staging Halloween festivals since 1977, featuring monsters and spine-chilling live shows. While the castle's name reminds some of English novelist Mary Shelley's 19th century book about the man who creates a monster, historians are skeptical that it actually inspired the author. The Royal House of Frankenstein is believed to have first built a castle at the site in the mid-13th century. Recapping one of our top news stories, ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead after an American military operation in Syria. He apparently fled with 3 of his children into a tunnel as he was pursued by U.S. forces and then detonated a suicide vest. And a look at weekend weather, mainly cloudy overnight with snow flurries and a low of -6. Flurries should end tomorrow around noon, then cloudy with a 60% chance of snow flurries, with the temperature dropping off to -11, along with a north wind gusting from 20 to 40, resulting in a wind chill of -19. Jennifer Christie is a woman who was violently raped, impregnated, gave birth to her baby, and then decided to keep the child. Her powerful story of how faith pulled her through this traumatic experience is coming up next. But first, here's a look at what's happening in and around your community.
Here's your Bridge City News Community Calendar. The United Way Coats for Kids and Families campaign continues until October 31st, accepting new and gently used winter wear for families in need in the community. Accepted items include new or gently used coats, mittens, scarves, snow pants, snow boots, and new hats and toques. Items can be dropped off at United Way and any Lethbridge TD Canada Trust or ATB Financial Branch. For more information, call 403-327-1700. And that's your Bridge City News Community Calendar.